This is Michael Woodward, and this is Season 2, Episode 94 of the Jumble Think Podcast.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Jumble Think Podcast, where we interview amazing entrepreneurs about their journey of turning dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we'll share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. Today on the podcast, we are talking about transitioning from the old things you're doing and into the new dreams and ideas you have. I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Jumble Think Podcast. That way, every episode magically comes to your favorite device so you can listen to each episode. If you like listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, go to jumblethink.com/iTunes. And for Spotify, jumblethink.com/Spotify. It'll take you right to the app, right to our page, right to where you can click subscribe. While you're there, leave us a rating or review. We want to hear what you think about the podcast and how it's impacting you. Now let's jump into today's episode. Hey there, welcome to the Jumble Think Podcast. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host. I think we have a pretty cool episode lined up for you today. Before we get rolling on that, we want to talk about something else that's pretty exciting going on at Jumble Think, and we want you to be a part of it. It is our idea camps. We just announced them. They're coming fall of 2019. They're going to be a lot of fun. What is an idea camp, you may be asking? An idea camp is like summer camp for adults. We're going to do a lot of cool, fun stuff. But beyond that, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to have some inspirational keynote speakers come in to inspire us and encourage us on the path of chasing dreams and ideas. We're going to have some topical sessions to go deeper into the topics of innovation and ideas and chasing dreams. We're going to have some breakout sessions to deal with specific topics you may be wondering about. Things like, social media, or how to do a side hustle, or how to be an influencer and create a podcast, a vlog, a book that you want to write. We're also going to have some great mastermind groups to go even deeper. And at the end of the 3 days, you're going to have a roadmap to make your dreams and ideas a reality. It's a very proactive event. You're going to have access to everyone that's there. You're going to have some food that is killer. You're going to have lodging included in that event. It's going to be awesome. And we want you to be a part of it. We are getting ready to launch registration in January with a killer discount. And to know about that before anyone else and to be able to get that discount, all you need to do is go to jumblethink.com/ideacamps and click that little I want to learn more button and stay in touch. We'll drop you the details in the beginning of January, where it's going to be, what the event's going to look like, some of the speakers involved, and how you can get signed up. So head on over to jumblethink.com/ideacamps. We're going to be talking more about that in the weeks to come and explain more about the DNA of it, why we're doing it, and how you can be a part of it. We also want to take a moment to pause here and thank our sponsors for today's episode, OpportunityInChina.com and Floxy. Here's a little bit more about our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com.
At the dawn of the 19th century, forward-thinking people moved to the commercial centers of Europe. Moving into the 20th century, America welcomed millions into the land of freedom and opportunity. It is now the 21st century. Many of the successes and fortunes of our generations will be made in China. To learn how you can seize opportunity in China, follow the Opportunity in China podcast. The Opportunity in China podcast is available anywhere podcasts are streamed, or you can visit our website at opportunityinchina.com.
We also want to thank our friends over at Floxy. Here is a little bit more about what they're doing. You have a killer idea for the perfect graphic or website, but you feel stuck and overwhelmed by the cost and skills it takes to create those ideas. Maybe you lack the time you need to create them. No matter the obstacle, it's time to get that idea created. And our friends over at Floxy can help you create those killer graphics, the perfect website, or even create the copy that's used on your next ad, all at a low cost, starting at $349 per month. Their on-demand, unlimited graphic design, web, and copywriting are backed by a 7-day money-back guarantee for all new accounts. And you'll be working with a dedicated US-based project manager assigned to your account. There are no hidden fees, and billing is month to month. So check them out for your next project and for the project after that too. You can find them at flocksy.com, FLOCKSY.com. Let them know that Jumblethink sent you. Okay, so today on the podcast, we're talking about a very, very important topic. It's one that I'm actually facing right now and trying to solve. I'm going to give you some of the methods that I'm learning to help navigate that issue. And here's the issue. So for 10 years, I've been running an agency, a web design and development agency. We build websites for mom and pop websites the whole way up to Fortune 100 clients. And a couple years ago, a friend of mine, a business coach named Graham Skinner, he's been on the podcast, he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Mike, I know you got into the world of web because the church you work for couldn't afford to pay you. Now you're like, 7, 8 years into this, and you have a decision. You've built an agency. You have all these people working for you. You're doing really cool things, but what do you want to do?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Graham, what does that mean? What do I want to do? How can I even answer that? I'm doing what I have to do. I've built an agency. I'm an entrepreneur. We have a business to run. We have people to pay. We have client projects to close." And he said, "Yeah, that's all good, but I want you to stop and think, what do you want to do? What do you want to build? What do you want to create?" And that started me down what's now been a almost 3-year journey of discovery of what is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to build? What is it that I believe in? And Jumblethink is that new journey that I'm on. Before we had Woodward Design Group, awesome company doing really cool stuff. We built all these websites, over 400 websites. We consulted with hundreds of businesses. It was awesome. It was cool. But the grace over the last couple of years to do it, to love our customers well, to love our clients well, has begun to wear off, which is typically a sign that it's time to move on and do something new. And for a while, I've wanted to get back into what I did when I was pastoring, which was simply help people through the journey of figuring out who they are, the created purpose they are to live in, and how we can help them get from an idea and dream and into reality. So we launched Jumblethink. We launched this podcast, and it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing it for 2 years. We're coming up to season 3 starting in February, doing some cool stuff with that, like video integration and interviews in person. More on that in the weeks to come. But when I stepped back, I was like, what do I want to create? What is it that I want to do? I want to help people find their dreams, figure out what it is, and launch into that reality, to make it a reality. So now I'm facing my own obstacles, my own objections that I have to overcome in this journey of pivoting the business into something it was, from something it was, into something it could be. And all of us face obstacles on the journey of chasing ideas and dreams. All of us face challenges we have to overcome. For some, it's fear. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of not liking what you're going to do when you try going on this journey. For others, the obstacle is financial. It's, how am I going to fund this? How am I going to make this happen? How am I going to create revenue to support my family while I'm doing this? And for others, it is the fear of failure. What if I step into this dream and idea and it fails? It completely isn't what I want it to be. It falls apart. People don't want what I want, what I'm giving them, what I'm dreaming, and now I don't have a business. I don't have an idea that's worth chasing. For others, it's the exact opposite. What if it succeeds and now it becomes something I don't know how to manage or create or do? What do I do then? And so often we get stuck in these moments, a cycle of one day. One day I'll go do whatever it is. One day I'll start that business. One day I'll go on the trip. One day I'll do whatever it is for you. And one day we look back and we go, we're 50, we're 60, we're 70, and one day never comes. One day is no longer in our future, it's in our past, and it's the moment's passed. The season has passed, and the dream has died. The idea has evaporated. Or maybe somebody else took that killer startup idea and they started Airbnb, or they started whatever it was that the idea was, and now you go, I would just be replicating someone else who already created my dream. All of these obstacles, all of these things that hold you back, and there are many, many more, they they keep you from the destiny you were created to live. So for me, I'm in one of those transitions. We're moving from Woodward Design Group and doing web design and development, something I loved for years, something that was awesome and fun to do, and into a new future, a new dream, a new destiny that is what I feel like I'm created to do right now. And that's to help others make their dreams and ideas a reality. But this pivot becomes very difficult because we have responsibilities, we have obligations, and we have resources that come from the past. Whether it's paying your bills, whether it's services you have to complete, whether it's clients you have to maintain, you hit a roadblock in which you go, one foot is in the past. And you begin creating the future. You begin dreaming and having ideas and cultivating those ideas and investing into starting them. And you have one leg in the future. And in that tension between the old and the new, the tension between 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, you're stuck in this place of limbo in which nothing flourishes, nothing succeeds, nothing gets your full attention, and both falter, both suffer because of the divided attention you have between the old and the new. And that's the place I find myself at now. It's probably a place that you have experienced at some point in your life and may be experiencing it right now. So I wanted to address this very issue. Like, how do you navigate the old and the new? Because the tension really, really, really stinks. It's hard to deal with. It is so frustrating when you can taste the future. You can see it with your eyes. You can envision the picture of what you're creating in the future, and you feel like the old is holding you back. You feel like you're stuck in this place that sustains life, that pays the bills, that pays for your house and your car payment and all of that kind of stuff. And yet you're stuck there. You don't want to be there. You are ready to move into a new future. And then you step back and you look at the future again, and you get excited. You get in a place of dreaming and scheming and planning and all of the elements that come together for setting yourself up for the future you feel like you're going to get to create. You get to tell the stories of the future. You get to talk to friends about the dreams you have. You get to explore possibilities, learn so much, and grow. And when looking back, you no longer want to promote that to your friends and your clients and your colleagues. You no longer want to tell that story because that story is the old story, the story you've moved past, and you're excited for the future story. You're excited for the journey that's ahead. Now, typically this would be the part of the episode where I would give you a roadmap and say, this is how you solve this problem. The problem is that I don't know if there is a way to solve it. Sometimes you just have to slug it out, you have to push through, and you have to work through it. Sometimes you have to have the old and the new going on. Sometimes 1 foot in the past, one in the future. And you have to navigate that. You have to grow the new while the old sustains you and shrink the old as the new grows. And sometimes you have to look for creative funding ways to navigate this. And I wish there was a clear path to say, for your problem, for my problem, for the situations in which we're in right now, where it's the past and the present and the future all at once. I wish I could give you a clear answer. But what I wanted to leave you with today are some things that you should not lose in this transition. The transition is important. You need to get into the destiny, the purpose, the created purpose you live in or should be living in. And if you missed that episode, go back and listen. So critical. But there are a lot of things that you can do to navigate this issue of the old and the new with grace and dignity, with love and compassion, and to do it well, even though it's really hard and it quite often really just is frustrating beyond frustration. So step number 1 is find places where you can find contentment and sustainability. Find those things that are the bedrock for the transition, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's a hobby or something that you love that allows you to refresh and deal with the tension of the situation, that gives you a break. For some people, that means that every Friday they go and watch a movie, and that's their time to just recharge and detach from the situations of the old and the new, the tension of the two. For others, that may be just spending more time with your family and making sure that you're not forgetting them in the mix. But find places of contentment that can bring sustainability in the journey. Try to limit how long the transition is going to take so that you can quickly get to the other side, but take as long as it's going to take. Don't rush through it just to get to the other side, but do it well and find those places of contentment that can help sustain you in the tension. Number 2, when you're moving forward, look for creative ways to make the pivot. So often we feel like we have to be done with one thing and start a new thing, and often that's not the reality. Most of the time there's a transition season, and that transition season is difficult. It's painful. It's hard. And so look at creative ways to fund the new idea while maybe limiting the amount that you're going to do in the old. Find ways to do the new dream, the new idea as a side hustle that you can grow while the old continues to sustain you. But come up with like small little, what we call the micro experiments that you can run and evolve your new idea, the new dream, the future you want to create as quickly as you can. These micro experiments make it much easier to get there than trying to take a big leap through the process. So a micro experiment could be a side hustle. It could be a weekend thing that you do just to kind of knock out more of the dreams and ideas you have, the things you want to move to. But moving into the future, be creative in that process. Number 3, be in relationship. You need to have a mentor, a coach, accountability, mastermind group, something that you're doing to talk about the struggle, because as they say, the struggle is real in the process. So have that accountability, have that relationship, have that perspective outside of yourself to see clearly into what you're creating, and be in those relationships that help encourage you through the process, that help you stay focused through times where you can't see clearly, that you can't see the path forward. And number 4, stay compassionate. Stay compassionate to the people around you from the past, whether it's a client, whether it's your current employer, your coworkers, whether it's the family around you, although you shouldn't be transitioning out of one family into another. Don't recommend that. When you're creating that new future, stay compassionate to the people that are in the old situation, that are in the past that you've already created. You don't want to lose the compassion because it will come back to be so valuable to have those relationships. Even take those people and share it with transparency if you can, about the journey you're on, the future you want to create, the exciting things that you see that others can't see. Bring them along on that journey and stay compassionate. Treat them well, treat them fairly, and above all, love well in that situation. It's really hard to do that when you see that as a burden sometimes. I know for me, it can be a burden where I'm like, I got this project I have to deal with, and the client, I know that they're waiting on me to get this done, and I just haven't done it, and you get frustrated and you take it out on the client, and that's just not really good. So you want to stay compassionate in that transition. So again, find contentment. To figure out creative ways to move forward. Number 3, be in relationships so you get clarity and and focus on the situation you're in to help you walk through that. And number 4, stay compassionate. These are just a few tips that are going to help you on that journey. I wish I could tell you that the journey is easy, that you can just go, hey, shut one door, open a new door. I'm out there just doing it. But when that grace wears off and you're in the pivot position of going from one thing to the next, when you're got divided attention, one foot in the old, one foot in the new, and you're there, it's really, really difficult. It's so hard. And if you have dreams, if you're an idea maker, if you've been down this road before, you know this pain. You know it so, so well. But I'm going to encourage you today. I'm in this journey right now. And there are times in which you go, maybe it would just be easier to give up and go back to the past. Or maybe I should just go find a job and be comfortable. And we begin to feed into those loud voices that tell us there's an easier way. If we just give up, or if we give in, or if we don't push forward. And I want to encourage you that those dreams and ideas are worth it. the struggle is hard, the transition is hard, the pivot is difficult, that there's going to be a lot of questions, there's going to be a lot of unknowns, but that the journey, once you get to the other side, you're going to look back and go, that was hard. I don't know how we made it through sometimes, but we did, and we got to the other side, and we continue to dream, we continue to have ideas, we continue to move forward, and you look back and you go, it was worth it. It was worth the journey. It was worth the transition. I would love to hear from you. As I said, I'm in this journey myself. I would love to hear what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. How have you navigated the tension? How have you navigated the pivot? How have you solved these issues of one foot in the past, one foot in the future? How have you navigated that? I want to encourage you, reach out to us. Drop a note in Facebook on the Facebook page. Send me a direct message on Facebook or on Instagram or wherever you like to connect. Drop me an email, hello@jumblethink.com. I would love to hear your story. I'd love to hear how you are navigating these very issues. I'd love to hear maybe if you're in the tension, what's the tension you're experiencing? And let's talk. Let's continue the conversation so that we can make our dreams and ideas a reality, so we can make the future that we were created to live a possibility. In a moment, we'll be right back as we wrap up today's episode, talking about a few more exciting things going on. Before we give you some closing thoughts on today's topic, we want to take a moment and pause and thank our sponsors for today's episode. They really do help make this podcast sustainable. So we want to thank OpportunityInChina.com and Floxy. Here's a little bit more from our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com. Have you been looking for a way to change your career or social prospects? Do you see the world around you changing and haven't quite figured out what path to take? Well, you are not alone in seeking opportunity. Visit OpportunityInChina.com for access to scholarships to attend university in China. Or, if you have a bachelor's degree already, OpportunityInChina.com provides access to jobs in the educational sector all across China. Working in China is not only often well paid, but it will place you among 1/5 of the world's population, boosting your social network, bringing you more deeply into the story of globalization, and opening doors you never knew existed. So seize your opportunity now. Visit their website for more information at OpportunityInChina.com. They also have an incredible podcast that's talking about this very topic, about living and working and learning abroad. Make sure you check that out. Go to wherever you like to listen to podcasts and search for Opportunity in China podcast. We also want to take a moment and thank our friends over at Floxy for sponsoring today's episode. Floxy is doing some really, really cool stuff. Did you ever need a graphic designed, a website developed, or copywritten, but found that the designers and developers were too expensive and often took a long time to get your project completed? Well, Floxy is your answer. Floxy is your unlimited graphic design, web development, and copywriting team. Plans start at $349 per month with no hidden fees, month-to-month billing, and you can cancel at any time. So check them out for your next project and for the project after that at floxy.com. That's FLOCKSY.com. And let them know that Jumblethink sent you. Before we wrapped up today's episode, I wanted to go a little bit deeper and share about what's going on at Jumblethink and the tension we're facing. Because it's easy to talk about this, and I alluded to throughout the episode that we're in this tension. And I shared a little bit about that, but some of the struggle is about launching into new things and being creative in how we solve those problems. You know, for us, doing this podcast has been a labor of love, but it's also something we want to grow into something that's sustainable, that generates revenue. And in the past couple months, we've been able to transition that tension of a year and a half of building a podcast, doing some light sponsorships, but not building those long-term relationships. And in the last 6 months, as we've grown our audience, as we've reached more of you listening, we've been able to do that and make the podcast more sustainable. In 2019, our goal for the podcast is grow it even larger, have more listeners, go from the downloads we have now to going to tens of thousands of downloads instead of thousands of downloads per episode. We want to get more people involved in the story of Jumblethink through the podcast. And in turn, what that will help us do is to get sponsorships that generate more revenue, that allow us to do really cool things with the podcast. Part of our dream for the podcast is going past audio, doing every episode in person, incorporating video into it. And for those who love the podcast in audio, we'll continue releasing it in audio, but doing more Facebook Lives, doing more on-location interviews with incredible entrepreneurs, going after guests that are our dream guests that we've always wanted on the podcast, but haven't quite gotten them on. And so in this pivot, there's that tension of, we know that we love the podcast, and it has been awesome, and we've had incredible guests. We know where we want to go with the new guests we want to bring on, getting more of those stories of dreams and ideas, and the journey of making dreams and ideas a reality to you, and pivoting to video. And so part of that is upgrading our gear to get more gear, and finding creative ways to do that and fund it to bring in video, and then having the funding to go in person all across the country and eventually around the world, interviewing people, changing their cultures, their community, the message that they're sharing, and getting their stories told, getting more of the picture behind the curtain of what's going on and letting you visually see it. So for us, part of that tension is going, we know that what we've done is awesome, and we've loved it, and it's been sustainable, but we want to go deeper. We want to go further. And that's just the podcast. We've also talked about idea camps. And we're in this tension of going, for us to effectively launch idea camps, it's going to cost around $25,000 to $30,000 in initial funding. We don't have $25,000 to $30,000 just sitting around to do that. And yet we know that that's the vision ahead of us, that we're going to do that this fall of 2019 in October. We know the guests that we want to be a part of the idea camps, and we know that their message has impacted and changed cultures, changed people's lives. We want to get them right in front of you at idea camp. But to get there, we have to figure out, how do we creatively fund this so that we can have the commitment to do it, to be able to commit to our speakers, to be able to commit to the venue and make it happen. So that's the tension. We know where we're going, and yet we have one foot in the past because we can't quite get there. That's one of the very real tensions that we have. It's so exciting to dream and know that we're going to be able to help many, many of you make those dreams and ideas a reality. And in that tension, we have to figure out how to make our dream a reality too. We also want to stop doing as much web work the way we've done it. We don't want to work on Drupal or WordPress anymore. Although it's something we like doing, it's not the future we have. And so the part of the tension is those are things we want to do less of. We want to continue working on Squarespace, helping dreamers convert their ideas and dreams to websites on Squarespace. We love that. It's awesome. But we don't want to do some of the things we've done in the traditional sense of web dev as we've done in the past. So we're making that transition, and it's hard because we see, again, the future. We see what has to die so that we can move into the future. We see what we want to grow so we can go in there. We want to be doing more speaking. We got to do New Media Summit last year. We're going to do that again in February. If you want to go, let me know. I'll connect you up so that you can get in. We may even be able to help you score a free ticket if you let us know. We'd love to have you there and be a part of that story with Steve Olsher and their team. And in that, we want to be doing more events like that. We want to share the story of the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments and how you can use micro experiments to grow your idea. We want to share the story of innovation and ideas and dreaming. We want to share the story of simplicity and identity and get those messages out to people who need them. And so we need to connect with people who have events that want speakers. So if you know any, toss them our way. We'd love to connect with them. We'd love to be a part of those events. And yet we're stuck in the past going, we don't know how to quite get there yet. We've gotten some success of being able to break into some of those events and be a part of them. But we want to do more. We want to share more of the JumbleThink story. We want to share more of your story in that mix. So there's these tension of very real things, whether it's the change in how we do web and why we do web and what that looks like for our customers, whether it's the change of going into idea camps and doing less of the things we've done in the past, whether it's doing more speaking, or whether it's upgrading this podcast and making it even better. These are the dreams and ideas we have. These are the things that are at the forefront of our mind. And we look at the past. We see how it sustains us for today, or at least most of the time sustains us for today. And we take joy in that. We take contentment in it. But that's not where we want to live. And we have the tension of going, we want to move into a new future, a new story. So as we wrap up today's episode, I wanted to give you very real tensions that we're in, the old and the new, the 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, our story of where we're at, to let you know that this journey is real for us, that we have our struggles too, and that we need each other to succeed. So my final thoughts for you today are very simple. We need each other. We need you to step up to the dreams and ideas you were created to live, your created purpose. The world needs you now. If you don't step into those dreams and ideas, if you don't take the risk of the tension of the old and the new, of moving and pivoting, if you don't navigate that, not only are you stealing from the dreams you have, the possibilities you could create, but you're stealing from the possibilities you could create for your family, for your friends, for your community, your church, your town, your school. You're stealing from the possibilities that you could offer your city, your nation, your state, and the people around the world. Your very dream and idea could set a catalyst to change systems, change possibilities, to enable others to do things that they never knew that they could do or dream of. And so today, as we wrap up the episode, I want you to think about what you're not releasing into the world, what you're not moving into, and how that's impacting the world around you. Now, I'm not saying that your impact will be earth-shattering, but the ripple of your choices, of chasing your dreams and idea, will impact so many that you never knew that it ever touched. So today is a day to choose to step into the possibilities, to find your created purpose, to make that first step, to choose to no longer live the safe life, the safe journey, the expected journey, the comfortable journey, and push into the possibilities. I believe that you were created for something big. I believe you were created for something special, and that we need you today. We need you to step into that dream, that destiny, that reality that only you can create. So today, I want you to take a moment and think and reflect on today's episode, to reflect on the tension of the old and the new, 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, to look it right in the eyes and go, I know that this is going to be difficult at times. I know it's going to be fun at times. I know it's going to be heartbreaking at times. But I'm choosing to choose this journey because I know it will be worth it. Now it's your turn. It's up to you. What are you going to do to find and create the dreams and ideas that are very much woven into the fabric of your identity? Go take those steps. Go chase those dreams. Go create the world that you see. Share the messages that you have. Launch the products you have. Serve in ways that impact lives around you. I believe you were created for it. So go out there. Chase those dreams. Chase those ideas. And change the world around you.
Sur les côtés, vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.